I want to take you back to when I was 6 years old. I'm on a playground. I come around the corner and there is a group of 6-year-olds. They've ganged up together. And to my disgust, I look over and there's just one girl stood on her own. And I'm wondering what's going on. But as I get closer, the group is now bullying this one child on the playground. In that moment, I had a moral dilemma, because as I looked, the leader of the group happened to be my best friend. She was the lead bully and sending an entourage of horrible, abusive things to this poor girl stood on her own. And I could see that Emma had caught my eye. Sorry, Emma. Not this Emma. I could see that she'd caught my eye in the sense that she was willing me to come be with the group, come be with the gang. And as I looked over at Avril, my heart just melted, because that poor girl, she was sad, she was broken, she was desperate, and she was stood alone. So what the right thing to do is go stand with the person who stood alone. So off I go. I stand by Avril side by side, and I face the bullies with her, because that was the right thing to do. Here I am looking at eye to eye with Emma. I look over to my left. Avril doesn't even look at me. And to my horror, she left me and joined the group. This is a true story. She left me. And so here I am now facing a bigger group of bullies, and now I become the target. And so what's the moral of the story? I asked my colleague, I shared the story with him, and I said, what's the moral of the story? He said, never go out and help someone because you get your head knocked off. Now, that's a little bit pessimistic. I tend to think it's a bit more about going to help the need of the one. It's about being resilient. It's about not being afraid to stand with the one, even if the one goes back to the group. It's okay to stand on your own, no matter what. And that leads me to why I wrote the book. The topic of my book is how to rebuild your life. It's about how to rebuild your life after trauma, domestic violence, and abuse. Not the best topic, but a really, really important one. I have lived experience. I have 4 amazing daughters, and that's who I wrote the book for. If I didn't sell it to anyone, what my thing is I was going to take the book, write on how to rebuild your life in the event that you ever come across abuse, domestic violence, dysfunction. This is how to heal, and this is how to rebuild after it. And that is why I wrote the book. But I also, in part of my research, I went to ChatGPT. We all go to ChatGPT, right? Don't lie, we all do it. So I go to ChatGPT as part of my research, and I research what is the most asked question from young women who may be experiencing abuse. The answer shocked me. It said the most asked question is, am I in abuse? Because they don't know. Young people, even older people, might not know, but young people today do not know if what they're in is abuse or not. And I asked myself, why would that be? And there was a study done in the 90s. It's called Adverse Childhood Experiences. And what they did is they studied young people who have been in any form of dysfunction, abuse, domestic violence, family violence. And it's basically showed that if you had experienced any of that, you're highly likely to find yourself in an abusive relationship and think it's normal. And so that told me that I needed to write something that exposes the truth and helps set people free. And so that brings me to my story. So I have lived experience. Obviously, I was raised in a dysfunctional family. I was raised in a DV family. And then sure enough, I find myself in a DV marriage for 20 years. And so my children were exposed to that. And so I did not, as I said, I did not want them to make the same mistake. And so I wrote the book in order to hand them a guide. And so what the book does It basically identifies what is abuse, because that was the biggest asked question. What is it? So I've laid it out in three sections. I've written my story, and then I'm also a psychotherapist. So I wrote what were the psychological things to look for, what are the characteristics, what are the behaviors, so that it was very clear so that they could see it. And then the third bit was my spiritual walk, because my journey and my experience without God, there is absolutely no way I would have survived what I've been through. And so I know that 40% of women globally do not share their story. Not because they're weak, but because of fear and shame. They don't talk about it. They just heal, or they just don't even heal. It just remains silent, isolated, and hidden. And so why did I write the book? Was yes, for my daughters, but it's for the woman out there that is not speaking up, but she might read a book. She might grab a book, and then she will see herself in those pages. And if I can help heal just one person, as well as my 4 children, my work here is done. Thank you. Yeah.